Today, I'm going to share with you 3 foods that turn blueberries toxic. It is shocking what these foods are. And if you are over the age of 60, this information could be life-changing for you. Now, we all know that blueberries are super healthy. They contain some of the most potent antioxidants on the planet, and they have been shown to kill cancer cells. In fact, the USDA has estimated that it takes about 15 blueberries to equal one drug called ibuprofen in pain-relieving capacity. Blueberries are also packed full of fiber, vitamin C, vitamin K, and manganese. They are also a good source of vitamins B1, B2, B3, B6, and E, as well as calcium, iron, potassium, sodium, and zinc. With all those amazing nutrients, it is no wonder why everyone is recommending blueberries. And many people are taking up to 500 grams of blueberries every single day. But unfortunately, there are 3 food additives that can make blueberries toxic. And once you watch this video, you will never eat blueberries again without first knowing what you are getting yourself into. Because these additives found in blueberries are over 20,000 times more toxic than cyanide. And so, even just small amounts of these additives can cause massive damage. And worse yet, these toxic chemicals are starting to show up in our blood, in our urine, and even in our breast milk. So let's first take a deep dive into the blueberry itself. Now, blueberries are very unique because they naturally contain a high amount of oxalates. For example, in just 1 cup of blueberries, which is about 148 grams, it contains 179 milligrams of oxalates. That's equivalent to 1.79 grams. Now, what are oxalates? Oxalates are natural compounds found in many plant-based foods, such as spinach, nuts, and beets. But blueberries really stand out as being one of the top sources of oxalates. Now, by themselves, oxalates are not bad. In fact, our bodies actually make oxalates. The problem comes when we consume too many oxalates from our food, especially at the same time that we consume other substances. See, here's what happens. When oxalates come into contact with certain minerals, like calcium, iron, magnesium, or zinc, they bind together and form crystals. And if consumed in large enough quantities, these crystals can build up in your body and form stones in your joints, in your kidneys, in your bladder, or in your blood vessels. These stones can cause intense pain and blockages, and they can even trigger autoimmune disorders. One study published in the British Medical Journal clearly showed that eating a meal high in oxalates, like spinach, can increase your risk of getting kidney stones by up to 500%. Another study conducted at the University of Oxford discovered that people who ate higher amounts of oxalates were up to 4 times more likely to develop kidney stones than those who ate lower amounts. So now you may be wondering how much oxalate is safe to consume. Well, scientists don't really agree. Some say that 50 milligrams per day is the threshold that you don't want to go over. Others say 400 milligrams per day is fine, but anything over that becomes dangerous. There is no clear answer. And since blueberries are one of the highest sources of oxalates, we need to pay very close attention to how many blueberries we consume. But there is another major problem with blueberries because they also contain a high amount of lectins. Just a 100-gram sample of blueberries contains 13.4 milligrams of lectins. What exactly are lectins? Well, lectins are proteins that act as a defense mechanism for plants. You see, plants growing in their natural environment are constantly under attack by fungi, bacteria, viruses, and even animals that want to eat them. So, to defend themselves, plants produce lectins that serve as chemical weapons to keep them safe. Lectins do this by targeting the gut lining of animals and destroying it. Once the gut lining is destroyed, the immune system of the animal gets triggered, and this causes inflammation throughout the body. And depending on the health of the individual, this can lead to various diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, allergies, and autoimmune disorders. For example, one study published in the Journal of Autoimmunity showed that eating wheat germaglutinin, which is a type of lectin found in wheat berries, caused autoimmune arthritis in mice. Another study published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition showed that people who ate a diet high in red kidney bean lectins had an increased risk of developing diabetes. So it might be wise to avoid eating large quantities of blueberries. But there's another major problem with blueberries because they also contain phytic acid. One study found that blueberries contain between 288 to 564 parts per million of phytic acid. What is phytic acid? Well, It is a natural compound found in grains, legumes, and vegetables. It acts as a storage form of phosphorus and helps plants grow. However, humans cannot digest phytic acid, and so it passes through our guts intact and ends up in our intestines, where it starts to bind to minerals like calcium, iron, magnesium, and zinc, and prevents us from absorbing them. This is a big problem for two reasons. First, it reduces the availability of these essential minerals in our blood. And second, it causes these minerals to crystallize and build up in our joints, our organs, and our arteries. This problem is especially serious for diabetics, people suffering from malnutrition, people with inflammatory bowel disease, and people with diabetes, because they are already at a higher risk of mineral deficiencies. So if you are consuming large quantities of blueberries, while also consuming grains, legumes, and vegetables, you may be increasing your risk of developing certain diseases. Now we have talked about the three main toxins found in blueberries: oxalates, lectins, and phytic acid. But now we need to talk about the three worst foods to combine with blueberries, because when you put these foods together, they cause the toxins in blueberries to multiply. The third worst food to combine with blueberries is sugar. And this should be obvious because blueberries are already sweet, and adding more sugar to them makes them way too sweet. But here's the thing. Our taste buds actually prefer a balance between sweet and sour. When we eat something that is too sweet, we don't enjoy it as much. And that's why it is recommended that you always add a little bit of lemon juice or vinegar to your blueberries to balance out the sweetness. Also, adding sugar to blueberries has been shown to reduce their antioxidant capacity by up to 50, and so it is best to avoid combining the two. The second worst food to combine with blueberries is grain, especially wheat. The reason why this is bad is because both wheat and blueberries are high in oxalates and lectins, and so when you eat them together, it doubles up the amount of these toxins in your body. For example, 1 cup of cooked wheat contains 134 milligrams of oxalates, which is almost as much as 1 cup of blueberries. And then when you add the lectins in wheat, you get a powerful combination that can cause serious problems. In fact, wheat is one of the most common food-based causes of celiac disease, an autoimmune disorder that affects the small intestine. And so, it's probably best to avoid eating wheat and blueberries at the same time. The absolute worst food to combine with blueberries is dairy products like milk and cheese. Why is this the worst combination? Well, blueberries are highly acidic, ranging from 3.0 to 3.9 picohenries. And dairy products are highly alkaline, ranging from 7.5 to 8.5 picohenries. When you combine two foods that are so far apart on the pH scale, you cause a chain reaction in the body. This triggers a massive release of stomach acid in order to bring the pH levels back to normal. But over time, this can lead to gastritis, stomach ulcers, acid reflux, and other digestive issues. For example, in one study, researchers gave 24 healthy volunteers a drink made with either blueberry or apple juice mixed with milk. After drinking the concoction, the researchers measured the pH levels in the stomach of the volunteers, and they found that the milk blueberry group had a significantly higher stomach acidity than the milk apple group. This means that dairy and blueberries have the potential to trigger a severe case of acid reflux. Another problem with combining blueberries and dairy is that they both contain calcium. Dairy products are usually rich in calcium, with 1 cup of milk containing about 300 milligrams. Remember earlier I mentioned that blueberries are also high in calcium? Well, if you eat too much calcium, your body will store the excess as oxalates in your joints and your soft tissues, which can lead to arthritis, kidney stones, calcification of the arteries, and even dementia. Finally, the last reason why you should uncombine blueberries with dairy is because blueberries are high in lactic acid bacteria. These are beneficial bacteria that help to maintain a healthy gut microbiome. But dairy products usually contain harmful bacteria that can kill off these beneficial bacteria. As you can see, combining blueberries with dairy creates a toxic reaction in the body that can lead to various health problems. There are many other foods that you should avoid eating with blueberries because they can cause similar reactions. If you would like to discover what these foods are, go ahead and tap on this video on the screen now. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I wish you great health, wealth, and happiness.